Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you had a really great day trading today. So today was Thursday, November 21st, and in pre-market today, we did have initial jobless claims, and jobless claims fell to the lowest level since April, which offered some positive economic news to start the day. And SPY opened with a pop all the way to close out this gap right here. So this was the island top battle zone gap, so this up gap and this down gap. In that first candle we closed that out, which is a really smart move for the bulls as it completely destroyed resistance on the day. So as soon as we filled that gap, we did actually drop back down to the 30-minute 200 moving average, and we did bounce on that level. You could watch that 35 EMA. It stayed above the 30-minute 200 moving average for the day, and that was a bullish signal when we touched down on the 30-minute 200 moving average. So we did bounce back up, and we did get above that gap, so above the resistance that we saw in that first candle, and we actually closed right at the top of that gap right there. Even though it is closed out now, we closed right at that level. So from here, we are not very far away from all-time highs. And SPX, we did see the same thing over here. That first candle took us almost to the top of the implied move. The wick actually did go all the way up. It's really hard to see there, but we closed out that gap right away and then dropped back down, bounced on the 30-minute 200 moving average, and we came all the way back up to close right on top of that gap. Now, I'm not trying to be a downer here, and this is just my opinion, but I do think that this was a technical bounce from bringing this 35 EMA all the way down to the 30-minute 200 moving average. So I do think this was a technical bounce right here, possibly a dead cat bounce, but again, that is my opinion because at this moment I am bearish. I do bring my opinion in once in a while, even though I'm not encouraging you to trade my opinion, but rather trade the chart. So this was a beautiful technical bounce of the 35 EMA on that 30-minute time frame, and I did mention this in the previous night's video. So SPY closed up 0.54%, SPX closed up 0.53%, VIX closed down 1.69%, and we did stay completely within the implied move today. And QQQ, we did see a little bit more resistance here. That first candle did bring us up into this battle zone gap. So this up gap from election week, this down gap after we saw CPI and PPI inflation data, which did show inflation coming back up again. And we did see that first candle bring us right up to where the two gaps overlapped. That is where we did get pushed back down, and we bounced on the 1 hour 200 moving average, brought it back up, and closed just underneath where these two gaps overlapped. So these two gaps gave QQQ a bit more resistance than we saw in the S&P 500, and QQQ did close up 0.36%. VXN closed down 2.07%, and we did stay completely within the implied move here. Is anyone else seeing a bear flag here, or is it just me? So the 1 hour 200 moving average, that was our support again today. And the island top gap was our resistance again today. And then IWM had a wild day. We opened with a gap up today. And remember in the previous night's video, I did mention this right here, that we saw a support right here of the signal line that was right here. And today we did see a follow through. We did continue with that upward momentum. We saw a gap up. Then we took it to the top of the implied move, and then even above the next day's top of the implied move, and we settled right in between the two. So if you did sell 234, 235 bear call spreads when they were in the money, so maybe a 1-to-1 ratio, sold them for 0.45 or 0.5, then this close would have been a break even. You wouldn't have made money, you wouldn't have lost money. It would have been a break even day here. And you can see right here the 35 EMA, it did dip underneath, yesterday, and today it did come all the way back up. So we do have a fully bullish setup here. This right here, there's still more room. We're not done with this move until we cross back down. And IWM did close up 1.52%, RVX down 1.29%, and we did not stay within the implied move on the day. We did close within the next day's implied move. And IWM did have the biggest up day. IWM and DIA had big up days. The others were a little bit more neutral, almost feels like maybe a rotation or something. And then lastly, DIA. DIA had a massive move today. It was really cool. We did open with a super small gap up, then we came down and filled it and bounced, and we took it all the way to the top of the implied move on the week, and then we brought it all the way down into the implied move on the day, and we closed within the implied move on the day within 3 cents. So how cool is that move? So we did see that green signal line here, and we did see a follow through on that little bounce right here. Took it all the way to the top of the implied move. There we did get an overbought signal, and then we pulled back down into the implied move for the day. 35 EMA here, you can also see that we did see a technical bounce of the 35 EMA on the 30-minute time frame. Take the price out, that does show it a little bit better and a little bit more clearly. Price is really messy, and when you take out the price, you can just look at what the indicators are telling you. And when the red line trades over the blue line, so the 35 EMA above the 30-minute 200 moving average, and we have a green signal line over here, that's a fully bullish setup. So there you have it, guys. That was a recap of today. Tomorrow is Friday, and this week has absolutely flown by. I don't know how we're on Friday tomorrow, but let's go check out tomorrow's levels. Alright guys, so before we head into tomorrow's trading ranges, if you find these videos useful, if they help you to choose better strikes and take better trades, and you love how I break it down every night, then please make sure to give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out when I do post new videos. If you have any questions at all, leave me a comment. This is complicated stuff, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. And if you took a really great trade today, and you made a ton of money, and you know it's because of something you learned here, then don't be afraid to use that thank you button and help support my channel. Alright, so tomorrow's implied move is between 589 and 598, and that is from options. The 30-day average volatility is a few dollars wider, 587 to 601, and then on Monday's contract, 587 to 600. And to the upside, we did knock out the resistance that we had. So the first level to look for, if we keep this upward momentum, is going to be 598. 600 is the top of the implied move on Monday's contract. And at the very top of the trading range, we do have all-time highs. So all-time highs, again, are within reach. And then to the downside, we do have the 35 EMA. Right now, futures are down, so that very well could be the very first level that we see tomorrow. And then if that breaks, then underneath that, we do have the 30-minute 200 moving average. So this week, we have seen the 1 hour 200 moving average as support. We saw it there, and then we came back up to the 30-minute 200 moving average, and that could be our support tomorrow. It is right there lined up with the bottom of the implied move at 589. The bottom of the implied move on Monday's contract is 587, and if we do drop to the bottom of the trading range to hit the bottom of the implied move, then either 589, 588, or 588, 587 bull put spreads I might be interested in tomorrow, or whatever that equals in SPX. And SPX, the implied move over here is between 59.05 and 59.90, that is from options. 30-day average volatility, a little bit wider, 58.85 to 60.15, and the implied move on Monday's contract is 58.90 to 60.10. And to the upside, we do have right here is a very small resistance right here, so 59.61. Round that however you need to. Definitely not a big resistance, but something to look for. And then the top of the implied move is really the first level, 59.90, and then above that 60.10 on Monday's contract, and the all-time highs right here from election week are just outside of the trading range for tomorrow. And to the downside, 35 EMA. Futures are down right now, so we could see that as the first level. If we do bounce, then look up. If it breaks, then look down. 30-minute 200 moving average is just underneath that, and it doesn't line up quite like SPY. The bottom of the implied move is a bit underneath the 30-minute 200 moving average. So 59.05, bottom of the implied move. 58.90 is the bottom of the implied move on Monday's contract, and that 1 hour 200 moving average was our support all week. That's just underneath our trading range. So we saw that here, 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 and then we moved up to the 30-minute 200 moving average. So 30-minute 200 moving average, that is a really interesting target. It definitely sticks out at me. If we do drop, then I may even try 59.05, 58.95 bull put spreads. That might be a little bit close, but let's just see how we open, because that does really stick out at me, just like the 30-minute 200 moving average. So that is SPX. QQQ, the implied move for tomorrow is between 500 and 510, and that is from options. The 30-day average volatility is $2 wider in each direction, 498 to 512. And 498 to 512 on Monday's contract. So that lines right up with the 30-day average volatility. And to the upside, the first level to look for is going to be the rest of this island top gap. We could not get above it today, and we took it right to the middle of where these two gaps overlap, and that's where we got pushed out. So tomorrow, the bottom of that gap is at 507. The top of where they overlap is at 508 and a quarter, and then just a little bit above that is the top of the bear gap, so 508, almost 509. And then 510 is the top of the implied move, 512 on Monday's contract, and we are not very far away from all-time highs. To the downside, we do have the 35 EMA and the 30-minute 200 moving average. It's very rare that they run together like this. They're pretty much the same level right now. And this 35 EMA did slide underneath this week, and right here when we closed just underneath the 35 EMA, the 30-minute 200 moving average, the price was above, but the next morning we dropped under. We're in a very similar situation here. So that 35 EMA sitting just underneath the 30-minute 200 moving average, price closed above it. This is a bearish close. Don't be surprised if we get pulled under tomorrow. So if we do break this level, the 30-minute 200 moving average and the 35 EMA combo, then 500 is the bottom of the implied move. Just underneath that is the support that we've had all week on that 1 hour 200 moving average. And then the implied move on Monday's contract is 498, 50-day moving average just underneath that. So very interesting trading range for QQQ. IWM, the implied move for tomorrow is between 231 and 238, and that is from options. The 30-day average volatility is $2 wider in each direction, 229 to 240, and Monday's contract has it at 230 to 239. And to the upside, the first level to look for is going to be 238. That is the top of the implied move. 239 is the top of the implied move on Monday's contract. If we do get near the top of the trading range, then 238, 239 is a spread that I probably would look to. We are reaching overbought. We're still playing out this bounce right here. But just because we did reach overbought does not mean we can't hit the top of that implied move there. We still have a completely bullish setup here, which means that 35 EMA above the 30-minute 200 moving average and the green signal line. And then if we do pull back tomorrow, 35 EMA is just underneath us. 30-minute 200 moving average is just underneath that. That lines up almost with the bottom of the implied move, 231, 230 on Monday's contract. We do have this bull gap right here, so definitely be mindful that that is there, because that could add a little layer of buying right here. So if we do take it all the way down to the bottom of the implied move on Monday's contract at 230, I would expect to see a swing back up on the day to close the week. And lastly, DIA. The implied move for tomorrow is between 435 and 443, and that is from options. And the implied move on the week is between 428 and 443. And does anybody want to bet that we do close within the implied move on the week? So under 441. To the upside, the first level to look for is 441. It is where we saw resistance today. It's the top of the implied move for the week. It is where we saw overbought today. And if we do get above that, the top of the implied move on the day is 443. Underneath that, we do have the 35 EMA. Then bottom of the implied move for tomorrow is 435. 30-minute 200 moving average lines right up with that. And I am betting that we close the week between this 35 EMA and the 30-minute 200 moving average. It was our support earlier in the week, and we are overbought, and a pullback to this level is just my guess. So there you have it, guys. Let's have an awesome last day of the week. Have a really great weekend. Have fun, trade safe. Make sure you take profits when you're up, and I'll see you guys on Sunday night.